Paranormal XL Podcast Halloween Edition. I am Gigi, and with me for, like always, as you guys already know, is the very special and stunning Mama Mary.
Shit. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So today, we're going to kind of get right down to business, and we're going to be talking about the Ouija board, or AKA the talking board. Because how cool is that? I don't know. I have iffy feelings on it. Oh, I don't know.
I've always felt like, it's a means of communication, but if you don't know what you're doing, stay away from it. It's sort of like, if you don't know how to drive a car, don't get in it.
Right.
Because, you're just going to screw something up.
Right. Well, yeah, it's all about, my belief, it's all about the intention. A lot of people are like, oh my God, a Ouija board, that's the portal to hell. Like, we heard a lot of that on the Facebook this week.
Mike.
Michael. I'll throw you in that gosh darn portal.
Got a portal for you.
Zing. It's essentially, it's just a tool. You could do the same thing with, and you can conjure up anything with anything. I want to say.
Well, any kind of device, any kind of tool. There's, candles, the pendulums. You can use just about anything you want it to.
Right.
To draw in energy.
Right, you're just using that for the source.
Yeah.
So whether it's a Ouija board or just a 2x4, I mean, it doesn't have to be a Ouija board. If a spirit wants to connect with you, it's going to connect with you.
Whether you could do it with lights.
Yeah.
Anything. Or you could say that your ghost hunting tools are the same as a Ouija board. So maybe we shouldn't use ghost hunting tools because they're portals to hell.
Right,
because
exactly.
It's given a source for energy to come through to connect.
Right. So what you're saying is like, okay, my little small EMF meters, one with the lights, that's giving them a way to connect to
come through,
talk with us. It's because we used it, I think, 2 different times where we just asked the yes or no questions, essentially what people do with a Ouija board.
Yep.
Make it light up bright once for a yes and for a no twice. Like it's essentially the same thing. I think a lot of people, just because of the movies, Hollywooding it up, that's what they do, and the stories that go along with it. They were not intended to be bad.
No. They were intended to connect with spirit. Well, back when they were first created, it was completely normal and natural to communicate with spirit. That was the norm. Then, somewhere along the lines, that became, scary, evil, fear-based. That's what like when I do my readings, I do remote writing. I just start to write, and that's how I get my information to channel through when I do my readings. That's how I connect with spirit.
Well, Mary Lincoln, was that her name? Mary Lincoln? Mary Todd Lincoln. A distant relative of mine. Which I found this is, a connection, right? She used to do seances in the White House because they lost an 11-year-old son. And she would try to connect with him. Whether it was with a Ouija board or not, I don't know, but she would connect with him. Yeah. So she would say, but she would have these other people that were into that too, doing it as well. Do not be afraid of the Ouija board.
Be smart if you use it.
Yes.
Though.
Thank you. Don't be afraid, but be smart. Just like anything else, standing around in a circle and you're trying to conjure up the devil or demons, anything dark, whatever. I'm not saying they're real or not. You guys all know my take on that. Well, let's play it safe.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Be respectful.
Yeah, if you're effing around and that shit is real, and then you're like, oh my God, what did I just do? Then you do open the gates of hell, and then holy heck. It's it's such a touchy thing, but you can buy them and you can summon demons from the ages 8 to 99 from Mattel.
Why not
that's
100?
Just crazy. I don't know.
Don't they usually put like
it's 99? Some of them are 99. Legos, I believe, is one, and We'll have to take a trip to the Walmarts together and look at these games because there's a lot of them that are kind of funny. Or a lot of times, nowadays they'll just put plus. But, yeah. Excuse me. Anyway, so now you know our opinion on the Ouija board. I've used one back when I was super little. And, all the cousins got together. It was the same night, I believe, that we did, like, the stiff as a feather. Light as a feather, stiff as a board thing. Mm-hmm. And then we did the Bloody Mary thing in the mirror. Oh, yeah.
All the typicals.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna play around with that stuff when you're little with your friends and stuff. You have the sleepovers. Of course you want to scare the crap out of each other and whatnot. That's another thing about the Ouija board, the science part of it. Now, there are explanations, but I still ask why. Now, I don't know if you've heard this before or not, Mama. It is that we will subconsciously, like somebody using a Ouija board, we're going to subconsciously move that with these muscles that we can't control. Our subconscious is controlling them. So it's not like just a straight up movement of I can't pronounce that. What's that piece with the I?
I forget what it's called.
I always want to say parachute, and it's not a parachute.
I think it's called a planchette.
Yes, a planchette. So you're subconsciously, at least one person, because they're like, okay, I want this answer to be this. They're subconsciously moving it. Yeah. And you can't tell that. But why are you subconsciously doing it? Like, okay, the science explanation on things, I'm not dissing science because I'm all about the science side. I'm more the science side than I am the spiritual side. Let's just be real. But there's always a why. Yeah, you can explain something, but why is it explained that way? If that makes any sense. I want to go, I always want to go deeper. So why are we subconsciously thinking that we want that? But why is our brain making it go that way?
Yeah. And maybe it's just because there's so many parts of the brain that are unknown. But maybe subconsciously we are. But, I'm a firm believer that there's parts of your, especially like the pineal gland, that part of your brain. And there's like, well, it'll sound weird when I say it, but you can look it up on the YouTube. The pineal gland is connected to the back part of the brain, and that's where information flows in. But if you were to look at the brain and look at the shape of, these two areas put together, you'd see the Eye of Horus. And if you know anything about like Egyptian mythology, that's a protective eye. But that's like the all spiritual eye. And so what if it does come from the brain subconsciously, but it comes from the brain that's subconsciously connected to the spirit world. So really, it is subconscious, but it's coming from the spirit world.
Right. See, that was always kind of my thought as to when I keep going with my thoughts, I just don't end it like most people do, and then they move on to something else. It's, okay, but why is the subconscious mind connected to something else? It's not, I don't want to say, you clearly can't see that it's connected to something else, but why are we thinking these thoughts? Why are we, why do we have a conscience? What, that little voice that tells you things.
Why do you turn right when you normally go left and then later find out there is a huge accident? Because you're being fed that information. That's the way it works.
That gut instinct is coming from somewhere.
Exactly. We're following our intuition. We're letting that energy flow in. And, that's how when I do my readings, that's where it's coming from. And sometimes I can feel that pressure coming through when it's a stronger energy that really wants to get a message through.
Right.
And that's, for me, that's how I feel. I feel that you probably are subconsciously doing it, but it's coming from something else. Now, are you going to have the stupid people who fake it? Yes.
Yup. Yup.
I think I've done it once when I was in school, and I'm pretty sure they were the people that I were with, they were just making it up. Mm-hmm. And all it said was, you're all going to die. Well, duh, that we're human. So at some point.
Yep. Say a lot of these psychic mediums, not such as yourself, because I do trust you and I trust your intuition and what you say. A lot of them will leave it very vague.
Yeah.
Where, who was that guy that was on TV? I used to watch him with Destiny's grandma. And he'd call somebody out of the crowd. He had his own TV show.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking. Had brown hair.
Yes. Oh my God! Tap into your abilities. What's his name? I'm just kidding.
No, I can't think of it. Don't work that way.
See, this is what I love about Mama. I can pick at her, and she just picks back, and it's great fun. Oh, John Edwards.
There you go. Yeah.
He would leave the stuff very vague, and See, anybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, a lot of people I'll read on the Facebook, whatnot, even doing research, when they talk to a handful of psychic mediums or self-proclaimed psychic mediums, some of them can hit stuff dead on, and other ones, they just leave it open vague, but they still consider themselves, I was going to say tolerable. That's not the word I'm looking for. Credible.
Yeah, gifted and...
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, too, you're going to get those readings that aren't accurate. If you go in there as a non-believer and you shut them out, because in order to get a reading with somebody, so if I were to sit with you and you were blocking me...
Right, I need to open up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to connect and do a good reading. Where if you were open, not necessarily, don't ever feed anybody information. Don't ever give anybody information. Always just give yes, no. Yep. Until they've given you what they have, and then you can discuss what they gave you. But until then, never. Just always yes, no, because they feed into you. Yeah. Don't give them anything to feed on. That's how you know it's the real deal.
All right. So just keep your answers very vague. Don't let them be vague, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Normally what I do is, I write down what I get.
She does.
And then I always tell them to not say anything except for yes or no until I've given that all to them. Right. And then I ask them if they can connect with anything. And they usually tell me I'm spot on. I don't know what I'm spot on about because
it'll be random stuff sometimes.
I've seen you at work. And I don't know what it means.
Well, one of our first times,
but I don't know what's really their personal life. It's up to them what they want to open up about, why they came.
Right. You don't know
a good therapy session.
Why you're getting shown the color purple crayon, but that can mean something to them.
And it does, and it's weird, but it does.
Yeah, one of the first times that we met, actually, you gave me a reading in my dad's really small apartment. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
And I'm just every time you've only really given me, I think, 3 readings, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
She makes me cry every time. But that first time, I only really knew of her. That was my first time meeting her.
Yeah.
And she gave me a reading. Dad's like, let her give you a reading, which I was like, what now? What? And
your dad who's all closed off to that kind of stuff.
Right. And it was, she nailed personal stuff that, I didn't even think my dad knew. So it wasn't like my dad told her stuff. Or, you did nail some of my awesomeness. We'll leave it at awesomeness. Not going to let anybody have a chance to argue with that. Anyway, we have veered off from the Ouija board.
Not really, because,
I
do that automatic writing, but you could take a Ouija board and do the same exact thing, just in a different way.
Right. Now, they say to use a minimum of 2 people. Why? Is it so you can call each other out? Because that's the first thing people go to is, oh, you were moving it. Oh, no, you were moving it. Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know why.
In my research, that's what they... When they started mass producing these Ouija boards, it was at minimal 2 people. But then you got these 2 people arguing that you moved it. No, you moved it. No, you moved it. Why couldn't you use one by yourself? If you didn't want to talk about it, right. If you didn't want to talk about it, and you're just doing it to reach out,
maybe it's a balance of energy.
I didn't think about that.
Yin and yang type thing. I don't know.
I just thought that was why. Like, unless you're going to go brag to your friends, yeah, man, we used this Ouija board and it said this. Blah, blah, blah. Most people, I hang out with or associate with, don't talk about stuff like that, out loud. I don't know. Why couldn't you use one by yourself?
You would think.
Because you get too many hands on there. That's a lot of...
That's a lot of different hands pushing it.
And that's just so many different energies. I don't know. I only say just from what I believe, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm rambling. Okay, so some of the history on it. Okay, the patent, when they... back in 1891, when they wanted to get the patent on it, okay, they had to prove that it worked. So they got four people together, 4 gentlemen, because back then only guys knew what to do.
Oh, well,
That's how that was. Okay. So to get the patent, they had to prove that it worked. But they got together 4 people. So 4 men got together to prove that this worked. The guy that they had to prove it to get the patent, he left holy shit, it was unexplainable because the answers that they got was right on. He was the observer. Yes. So, but he granted the patent, even though that they couldn't scientifically whatever. One of those 4 men could have easily moved it, or, you know, you can always, I feel, you can always debunk a spirit board session.
Yeah, in some shape or form.
Did I just call it a spirit board?
Yeah, but I like it.
That's weird. Why would I say that?
It's called channeling, I guess.
I'm massaging my third eye right now. Oh my god. It feels so good. But, sorry.
Well, no, I found that, I looked it up. So basically they say to use 2 or more because the more energy you have, people will bring more things in. That's what it says.
My question with that, just from learning from the beginning of the podcast about spirituality and these energies, not everybody's got the same energy. So what if you had like one good energy and like these other energies that weren't, I don't want to say bad, but weren't
honest. Would block it.
Okay. So essentially it would be, they'd cancel each other out and there wouldn't.
Because I've done like seance things before, and it wasn't that it wasn't very good, but because you had energy that was off, it kind of blocked it.
Okay.
So it would be, I think would be the biggest thing, it would just block it.
All right.
If you didn't believe, or if the energy was off, or
you ever watched the movie Elf?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that movie.
Me too. So like when they all go around and they're singing, and because Santa Claus's sleigh flies on people believing, but then he got that one guy, his dad, that wasn't actually singing because he was still like, and he's like, "You're not singing, Dad. You need to sing." But once he started singing and getting that believe, and then the spirit of things, and then Santa's sleigh was able to fly.
That's a really good comparison.
I really like that movie. Bad timing to be watching that right now after Halloween. Going, I love Halloween and I love Christmas. It's a weird. See, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I know so many people that are huge fans of that. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but
you get it.
I would love to be able to mix Christmas and Halloween somehow, some way, and make up some BS holiday in between. We're gonna note that, and we'll make a paranormalxl holiday out of this, where everybody gets presents, but they're spooky presents.
Spooky presents with candy.
Mm-hmm. Always gotta have candy too. You wrap your present in candy.
We need to have a special event that's called like Salem Days.
Salem Days. Mm-hmm. We can do that in June.
Yeah.
I love it when we record because then we come up with all these ideas. We need to write this shit
down. And the
down.
reason you called it a spirit board, I had to look it up. I wanted to know why. I'm like, what's a spiritual meaning? In this episode, Sam uses a spirit board to communicate with Dean.
Okay, now it's all coming together.
Full circle.
They did. Supernatural did use that. Exorcist used it. So many movies have used it in the horror movies. That's where I believe society started taking the bad on it. Like we said, they used it back in the White House, back when Lincoln, and even before then. And it may have not been so much a spirit board, a Ouija board. It was... could have been anything. It was the intent. It's the intent behind the tool.
Ball. It could be just people sitting in a circle.
Right. So don't fear a Ouija board. That makes me sad.
Item.
I choose generally not to use a Ouija board.
Yeah,
that's only one of my preferences.
That one time when I was a kid,
because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I understand that, and again, I don't fully believe or non-believe. But I'd rather be safe than sorry. Just like saying my prayers before we do an investigation or before we do anything crazy. I'd rather be safe than sorry. If I don't know what I'm doing, would I be totally against using one or trying one out with a group of people? No. But I want to know
what they were doing.
I want to know the people. I want it to be with people I trust. Just like, you wouldn't get in a car with somebody you don't trust. We'll go back to the car thing. Yeah. It's because we don't know. We just don't know. That's what's great about the paranormal. It's all gray. Also, did you know when they started mass producing these, they called it, excuse me, they cost $1.50.
That is amazing.
You could summon anything for $1.50.
Oh. Mm-hmm. But could you summon a bottle of wine?
I don't know. I'm not sure if anybody... Weird thing, okay? So I looked up the patent, right? And I got a picture of one. Or the original patent, which is weird because they said they didn't go for the patent until like 1990, really, 1890, 1891. The date on the patent is July 30th, 1800.
Really?
Yeah. And I will share that on the Facebook page. If I didn't already, I do have it on my phone. But yeah, I thought that was...
How'd they come up with the name?
I'm like, there's a couple different theories. One was they asked what they should call it.
Okay. And
then they asked what it means. And then it's supposed to mean good luck. There's a couple different theories. It, however, is not... oh. It is not...
Was it like a German thing where they thought it was like a French name and a German name put together?
That's the popular belief. It is not, though.
They thought like a we was for yes and German, and the G was like what? Not German, but French, and then the G was German for no. Is that what that was? Something like that?
It's in here. I swear to God. Why didn't I write this down? Oh my God. Of course I can't find it. Yes. Okay. So what people like, the popular thought is Ouija is, but it is not. It's not the combination of the French word yes and the German word, ja. Okay. So there's this guy, okay? Robert Murch. He's been researching, trying to find out everything that he possibly can about the Ouija board. He started doing all this research, kind of made it his life work in 1992. Okay. Wow. And he was asking questions and stuff about, the history, but nobody knew the history. Nobody had connections, where it came from, why we use this. So, like I said, when they got its name, there's the story that they asked what they should call it, and then it pointed to good luck. Okay. Or said good luck, and that's what it means. So, but there's another one that that Murch researched. One of the guys that was asked to be one of the four to prove that it worked for the patent. It was his Bond. His last name was Bond. It's his sister-in-law, Helen Peters. His sister-in-law was a very strong medium and very well known back then. Say supplied the now instantly recognizable handle. So they say that she found out that's, what to call it. Say they were sitting around a table. They asked the board what they should call it. The name, it spelled out Ouija like it does. Which, if one of those people was pushing it around, you know what I mean? Like, that's odd. And even how to pronounce it correctly. I'm not sure anybody knows really if it's pronounced Ouija. I've heard it called other things. Not called other things, but pronounced different ways. Came through, and then the board replied with good luck. But for the fact that, and then Peters acknowledged that she was wearing a locket bearing the picture of a woman, the name Ouija above her head. That story emerged from the Ouija founders, or letters from the founders. But a theory behind that is that the woman in the locket was famous author and popular women's rights activist, Ouida, who's Peters admired, and the Ouija was just a misreading of that. So, all that garbage I just said was they were sitting down with this board. They were using the spirit board. They were asking it questions what to call it. This woman had a locket on. There was a woman using it during this time. It was not the time that they were trying to get the patent. So she was using it, and they came up with Ouija. But she had a locket on, and it was of this woman with the name Ouida.
No, that's a good theory,
so too. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding of it. So, I mean, there's so many questions, or, nobody was there. So that's the thing with this, is when they went to patent it, but somebody had this idea. Somebody made this board. Okay, these other guys got involved, heard about it, whatever, was like cha-ching, because they're guys, they're businessmen.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a way to make money. But we do know this type of, maybe not the exact board, but that tool with the same intent to communicate with letters and the yes and no, the goodbye, the hello, that type of thing, has been around for a long, long time.
Well, yeah, because that Rich, he he ended up selling the invention to his friends, didn't he? Like the Charles Kenyard and with the novelty company.
Yes.
And then what was it named? William Fald, he went into business for himself, and he forced Kenyard out of business and took his idea and created the Ouija Novelty Company, which turned into other things, and eventually he ended up taking his own life.
Really?
Yeah, he climbed to the top of a Baltimore building and jumped to his death.
Yes.
When it started
I've
to
read
fail.
That. Yeah.
And then his family, I think in the 1960s, sold it to Parker Brothers.
Yes.
So it's kind of an interesting history, all about, the one guy who didn't care about money. He just wanted to, be spiritual, sold it, and then how greed kind of ends up for you, I guess.
Yeah,
it's an interesting history.
That it is. Say Parker's brothers bought it, I would say 1966. They bought it from the Flood Company. Well, they sold $2 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Ouijas out there. It outsold Monopoly back then.
That doesn't surprise me. It don't.
That is crazy. Just because of the mystery. Mm-hmm. When they started out with the advertising and stuff, it was known as, how they put that. It was the Pittsburgh Toy and Novelty Shop back in 1891 when they first started, or when people started seeing the first advertisements for it. And then the New York paper said it was interesting and mysterious.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, which it is, but if you're going to start mass producing things like that, it takes out the genuine
feel of it.
Yeah, and the purpose of it. Now, we were discussing before recording, it was, to me, because we were talking about, okay, we wouldn't be totally against using one, recording it, and showing it to all you guys, or even going live with it, and, that type of thing. So you guys can be involved in it, kind of see what, I don't know, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't want one from Walmart. We don't want one from Myers. We don't want one from the toy company. My theory is, when you make something, whether it be a spirit board, whether it be just a table, that type of thing, a piece of you goes with that because you're putting your energy into making it. Yep. It's your idea. It's your imagination. Handmade things are the best. Handmade wooden items are the best. Yeah. Furniture. Somebody put their time into that, their energy, but a piece of that goes with them. You may think I'm ridiculous, but you want to know what? That helps me sleep at night to think that.
No, it's completely true. It is.
And I think that goes along with the Ouija boards, too. So if you had somebody that was wholeheartedly and a good person making you a Ouija board, and they took their time and made it beautiful, and they gave it to you as a gift, I think then, maybe, if it is true, it may work. Mm-hmm. But those ones that you can buy for probably, I don't know, $9.99, $19.99, whatever at Walmart, that's fun. That's, when you're 15 and you hanging out at your friend's house and it's Halloween, you're all out by a fire, that's all fun and games. But if you're going to use like an actual, to me, a real spirit board, Ouija board, talking board, whatever
you want to call it,
it would be one made of wood that somebody handmade, somebody with a connection to the spiritual world, if that makes any sense. Because to me, that when they're building that, they would put some of that spiritual
energy into it.
Yeah. I'm thinking little fairies going around putting little fairy dust on these boards to make them work. But like I said, it's all with intention. It's how you intend to use it. Just like spells. Nowadays, witches are not bad, just like you would think a Ouija board is bad. Do not be afraid, just be smart.
Exactly.
Just, oh man, there's just so,
Well, there's lots of different accounts where people have actually consulted Ouija boards, and life matters. Like, okay, so one of the most mysterious looking buildings in Los Angeles is the Bradbury Building.
Oh, really?
It's, over the years, it's had like a variety of Hollywood filmmakers. They've been drawn to it. They've shot films, DOA, Blade Runner, 7. At this place. Then the legend has it that George Wyman consulted his dead brother using a Ouija board about it before he built it for Louis Bradbury in 1893. And so the only reason he built the building was because his deceased brother that he communicated with through the Ouija board said he should do it. He convinced him through the board that the building would make him famous. It did. So that's one account where you're connected with spirit to get your answer, sort of like meditating. You know, you download information through meditation to get your answers. Another one, what is it? Arthur Henry Ward. He is the author of Fun Manchu. It's an adventure novel. And he's a member of the Golden Dawn and penned a number of occult books. With his account, he started his lucrative writing career on advice gained through the Ouija board. He asked how to make the best living that possible as a writer. The board spelled out Chinaman. And the novels that followed brought him tons of fame, a fortune, and a franchise that's still popular. So just, a couple of accounts where, channeling the energy of the St. Louis housewife named Pearl Curran. She stunned the literary world in the early 1900s by channeling the spirit through the Ouija board and producing thousands of pages of novels and poetry that allegedly came through a spirit named Patience Worth. I've done the same when I meditate and I channel energy and I get my ideas and I research those ideas and I come up with different ideas. It's the same thing, it's just in a different way. But a lot of these stories are all from either before 1900 or the early 1900s.
And so, that's when it was it became big and well known because in the American 19th century, we had this obsession with spiritualism, and it kind of took over. It was, you were either highly religious
or spiritual.
Yes, you had one or the other, and a lot of people went to the spiritual way. I think it was something different, it intrigued people.
What amazes me is Europe has always been really much farther ahead than America in this. And I think it really started hitting America in 1840s, impacting with the ideas that there's a difference out there. And Europe was leading the way well before that. I'm surprised they didn't come up with it.
See,
in some shape or form. I get the French guy, Planchet. I get that he had a part in some of it, but why didn't
I believe... Everybody wants to know what I believe. Well, here's the thing. In Europe, even during the witch trials and whatnot, they dealt with it in a different fashion than we as America did. We're cha-ching, first thing this comes out, people are how can we make money? And the four guys get together and they do their thing. It's back in Europe, they left it at what it was, and it worked for them. And that's how I think that's how it was intended to be.
Just a way to communicate with spirit, not to make money off of it, but to grow.
Right. See,
to get
you got into greed. And then he jumps off a building.
Yeah.
However, it does say in the research that he had a freak fall.
That's funny.
Actually, in his obituary. But he did say that the Ouija board told him to build that company that eventually killed him. Yeah. So, I don't know. There's so many. We can't sit here and say yes or no that stuff happened, whatever. It's all hearsay. History, to me, if it can't be completely explained, then it's all hearsay.
It's interpretation.
Yeah. This is wine being poured. I know what's going through the mic. So.
That's all right. Just living the dream.
But they know. They know us. Yeah, we're living our best life.
Well, I got some haunted stories about the Ouija board. It's cool to talk about.
Are we there yet? I'm just kidding.
We could talk about ways to communicate to get your answers, to find life direction. It would be the same reason if you believe in psychics and mediums, why you'd go to them. Why not do it yourself?
Right.
Not that I'm discounting,
yourself.
Making money, I guess, but you can find all those answers yourself.
Can I say something about the mediums and going to see a medium and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people are if they charge you, they're not real. That's not true. Okay. If they're taking their time out, just like anybody else would, you would charge. Their time is valuable. It's not.
Well, there has to be an exchange of energy, and that's what I learned. It balances it out, because when you go to a psychic and a medium, they're literally giving their energy to you, and it takes a piece from them.
Yes.
If I do enough readings, I'll go home and I'll be exhausted for the whole next day.
I've seen it.
Where I just can't function. So there has to be that exchange of energy. But for a long time, I felt uncomfortable with it.
Right.
But you can get your answers yourself too.
Right. Well, I just wanted to make that known because I see a lot of people hating on that, and then they disregard mediums or psychics. That may be the true thing. And then you get the people, I would say, on social media that say, if they charge, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's fully true. Just like when
Would you go to a doctor who didn't charge?
Right. Well, then we go to these locations to investigate that charge. Those places are popular on the map, whatever, but they have to maintain these places. People don't go to places that charge. I understand why they charge. Some of it does seem kind of steep, but it's to upkeep it so we are welcome there. They can keep it going. They have to restore it. They have to maintain it. If it's from the 1800s and they want to maintain it looking like it's from the 1800s, their time, their everything goes into that. Yep. Don't be hating on that.
Yep, there's a reason for it. It's it's an exchange.
Right.
There has to be it's a yin and a yang, the black and the white. There's a balance.
That just always, I don't want to say upset me, but concerned me when I read stuff like that, because there are mediums that will give that stuff away for free, but at the same time, it's and if they do it all the time, or it's an exchange of energy, you're taking your time, you're asking them for a service. If you, as a person that's not a psychic medium, if somebody was asking me for a service of any kind, I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, that's...
No, I'm not a hooker. Anyway, go on.
Sometimes I sound like one when I'm talking to somebody who wants energy work over the phone. I'm like, oh, it's $50 for a half hour.
Right, and you're like,
that doesn't sound good.
That's funny.
But here's a story about Justin from New Jersey. He's 32.
Jersey.
Okay, so Justin played with an Ouija board one day with several of his friends. They asked questions, but instead of the planchette moving to certain letters, it began to move in a strange pattern. It went to all four corners of the board and made an X. Then it just started going in circles. And so the next time he used the board was with a different friend at the house. And again, the planchette moved in the same pattern. I felt like it was some kind of hex, he continues. Later, that night when he was sleeping, he felt a forceful hand grab his arm and wake him up. Everyone else in the house was sound asleep. Oh, I don't know. Good ghost story.
I love hearing the stories about the use of the Ouija board and stuff. Because everybody's got such different ones.
Well, too, just because he feels something grab him at night doesn't mean the Ouija board let something through. It could mean the fact that he opened up and he had some kind of belief in the spiritual world enough to use it. It opened him up enough so spirit wants to connect. I mean, It doesn't say it grabbed him harshly and left bruises. It could be a family member who...
patting him on the back. Good job,
just wants to connect.
Yeah.
Because I've laid in bed before and I'll feel like someone sits at the edge of my bed where it's not scary. It's probably a loved one who just wants to sit with you. Well, it's probably
scary to people that don't have an understanding
like
you do. Because I know some things still scare me, even though I've learned so much. And I'm like, okay, if I can't explain it with science, okay, I'll explain it this way. But it's still kind of scary.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of things happen when I was a kid. Tapping on the head. That was one thing I'll never forget. When we lived in a trailer, I had the end bedroom, and something tapped me so hard on the head. And I never said anything because my parents would just tell me I was crazy.
Yeah.
Or it was just a dream or whatever. That shit woke me up. Something was tapping me. And I'd try to cover my head, with my blankets, just like in the movies, because it's scary. Gosh,
if only you'd known to say...
I was probably only in the first grade.
Don't do that, I don't like it. They would have stopped.
Right. Well, it scared me. All I know is that it scared me a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. And it happened more than once, because it would wake me up out of my sleep. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I was dreaming that. You know what I mean? I kind of reversed the steps of it or whatever in my mind, because that's what made sense. But anyway, I wasn't playing with Ouija boards back then, so I didn't let anything in. Something, I think, was just in that trailer.
It was just there.
Yeah. It could have easily been another kid spirit, really.
Yeah, and I think to play.
Because it would play jokes. Well, I wouldn't find them jokes. I would find it scary, because my bed would shake all the time. I've said this before.
Like they're trying to shake you awake.
Yeah, and my parents always said that it was because my mattresses weren't the same size or something. I don't know. It was some stupid reason that they gave me. And now that I'm older, it doesn't make any gosh darn sense. And I'm like, you guys sound crazier than me. But weird shit would happen there. Bottom line, go on with your fun stories. I'm rambling because that's what I do here at paranormalxl podcast.
That's all right. So this one's about Abby. She was 20 years old in Florida. So she was in her room one night after playing with the Ouija board earlier that day. She was getting ready for bed and her computer screen changed from black to blue, and then it turned on by itself. She turned the computer back off, and again the computer clicked itself back to life. Anxious, Abby unplugged the computer completely and then unpowered the computer, started to pack it up. She buried the Ouija board in her backyard that same night. Chicken shit. I'm just saying. Too superstitious. And hopefully I say this name correctly. The name of Oceana, 30, from New Jersey. So most people play with a Ouija board in groups or at least with one other person. She wanted to try to use it on her own, so she puts her hands on the pointer and asks questions, but nothing happens. And so she took her hands off the pointer and was about to put the game away when the planchette began to move around on its own. And she says, I'll never try that again. So if that's true, that kind of debunks the scientific theory where, it's your subconscious mind moving it because if her hands were touching it, if that's true.
Right.
But why would she make up the story? I mean...
Right.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. You don't like to call somebody's BS. Well, some people like to call people's BS. I like to try to see the better side of people and be like, why would they lie about that? They're not going to gain anything from lying about it. Mm-mm. If nothing happened, nothing happened. That type of thing. I think there are, encounters with the spirit board that probably were real, but it may not have even had anything to do with the spirit board. That spirit may have already been there. And they're like, oh, they're trying to call on me. I'm going to, they're probably...
They want to connect. I'm going to connect now.
Well, right, just sitting right next to you. It's not, coming through the spirit board, I'm going to make it do this. No, it's sitting right next to you. It's got its little spirit hand on there, helping it along or telling you what, subconscious where to put it.
That's the way I feel it works. To be honest. I can see people, being negative and drawing in negative energy because
and I think that's what happens.
If you're negative, that's what you draw.
Yes.
If you want to have a good day, you're going to have a good day. If you want to have a bad day,
no, she's not saying
you're going to have a bad day.
She's not saying that if you're a negative person, you're a demon, because we're just not.
No.
We're not opening portals to demons.
Demons don't come around that often.
They are very rare. People get mad at me for saying that, but I firmly and I will stand by my decision till the day I die, and then
you have the demon energy, you have the evil energy, and you have negative energy. Negative energy necessarily isn't evil. It just means you got grumpy Smurf who's just grumpy all the time.
Right, but when you cross over, you're still going to be that grumpy Smurf. Yeah. You're still going to be that asshole. Everybody's just a bunch of assholes. Some are just more than others.
A blue asshole.
Yeah. Simple as that. Problem solved. Case closed. If you're a blue asshole in the real life, then in the afterlife, you're going to be a blue asshole.
That's right.
And that's where people's minds go when they think Ouija board.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's bad. That's how it's been instilled in us in our time that we live in right now. Mm-hmm. That's that fear. So we stay away. We don't, like we said, I want to use one solely for the purpose of being able to show our listeners. That sounds weird. I want to show our listeners, us using one.
Yeah.
I haven't used one since I was a child just because it is fear. I'm not even going to lie. It's fear because I don't know. It's the unknowing. That's what paranormal is. The unknowing. Not so much that science can't explain it. Science can explain everything to a point. But then you can ask why to every question. It's infinity. Mm-hmm. To me, it's infinity. That's how my brain works. I just don't shut off because I'm happy with that answer. Nope, I want to know why you gave me that answer. It may be a good one, okay? But why?
What makes you think that?
Right. Why are peas green? Okay, well, this, and this. Well, what put that and that to make it green? Mm-hmm. So I keep going with it. That's just kind of how I'm wired. It irritates the piss out of me sometimes, because sometimes I just want to be happy with that final answer that they have for me, then they cut it off. That's fine if that's your belief system and that's the way you go through life. That's great. You're living your best life. That's my new motto, by the way. I want to live my best life. Some days are better than others, but...
as is life.
Exactly. Now, the Ouija board... Everybody has, I don't know. I just hate the fact, me personally, I don't know. I don't have one lying around. I don't depend on it to tell me my future. But people, the paranormal just in general, people automatically go to fear.
They do.
And that makes me sad.
It's what they've been programmed to do.
Yes, programmed.
And when you don't understand something, it brings up fear. Just like when you have change coming, or you're starting a new job, there's fear there because it's unknown. The outcome's unknown.
Yes. The unknown, we need to stop being scared about the unknown and be excited about it and take it with preparation and take the right steps.
Yeah.
That's the only way, really, that we're going to get any further.
That's the way you get your answers.
Well, right. But we stop learning things even because we think that we got the final answer. There is no final answer to anything, I don't think. Because we don't know until we cross over and we get the answers, whether there's a God or gods or whatever you believe in.
Vast.
Yeah.
I think there's both. I think there is a God, then I think there's gods.
Gods.
I think there's...
plural. Me too.
You have the one, and then you have the others.
Like I said in a previous podcast, what I want to believe is each individual has their own belief. Whether they are straight up, let's say, Catholic, okay? Each person's different. So they're going to have a slightly different belief. But what I want to believe is when they cross over, their heaven or their hell is going to be exactly what they thought. Like, to me, I think that we make up our own heaven and hell. When we cross over, if we think that we're going to be stuck, we're going to be stuck. An earthbound.
Yep.
If we want to cross over, we cross over. Let's say my heaven, to me. Oh man, I got a few different heavens. We're not even that's a whole podcast all on itself. But it's gonna be a good place where I'm getting hugs from my family all the time because I love my family. Someday my children will be there with me. I want to believe that I'm going to be greeted by all my loved ones that have crossed over, which I think a majority of people want that. They're going to be welcomed with open arms and get to hug their loved ones that have crossed over.
Yeah.
That's a great thought. And I'm going to let myself believe that and let anybody else believe that too because, it's not hurting anybody, but...
No, and I think that is true. I think when we do cross over, we have certain loved ones who are there to guide us across.
And then... let's say, I believe that, so that's going to be my heaven. But let's say Sean's heaven is being in a room playing Xbox 24/7, getting all the pizzas and beer you can want. But that makes him happy. You know what I mean? So I think whatever makes you happy, that's what if you live the life you're supposed to, if you're living your best life, you're going to get the best heaven.
That's right.
I don't know. That's just my belief.
No, because you create your own reality.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Holy crap. Man, I create a lot of weird shit. So, do you got any more of the stories? I do want to read, because I had that.
Well, let me read
Facebook
one more.
Question. Yeah, I like these stories.
There's, this one is Pages. Well, Page, not Pages. It sounded so wrong when it came on. It's not Pages of Pages.
I'm going to be here for a while.
This story belongs to Paige. She's 24
wait. 1 second. One second.
Well, this one is from Paige, and she is 24 from Ohio. So the first time she used an Ouija board, she was about 6 or 7. It was with her mom and her older sister.
That's like super young.
I know. And
you don't even color in the lines yet. Sorry.
No. And her sister was 15 at the time. The family had just moved into this new house. It was very big and a lot older than what they had lived in previously. And so that night, after they used it, Paige, her mother, and sister were eating pizza in the living room on the floor. They didn't have anything moved in yet. So they put on a fire to ease the chill. And after dinner, her sister pushed her mom to play the Ouija board. So as they were using it, a box in the living room that had some books in it literally flew across the room. After that, the fire went out by itself, and the mom was so shaken that she took the girls to the grandmother's house to spend the night. I would have been like, you pick that shit up, and you get it put back right where it's at, because I'm not dealing with that kind of shit. You get my fire lit back up, and get it figured out, because we're not doing it.
We just ain't.
That's right.
It ain't happening.
Not doing that shit, but whatever.
Okay, now with Halloween coming up, and you want to use a spirit board, a Ouija board, a talking board, whatever you want to call it, the ABC board, the awesome board, the demon board. I don't know. You could go on for days with names for that piece of wood. Board. Yeah. If you go to Walmart and you buy yourselves one, whatever you need to do, or make one for yourself. I think a genuine one would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Which, we did get to see a piece of the world's largest Ouija board when we went to Michigan Paracon, so that was pretty cool. That just got presented actually out in Salem. Our girl Courtney from Salem got a selfie with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Now, as far as that humongous one being used, I don't know. It's cool to see if you're into the paranormal stuff. It's pretty neat. However, the intentions of it, because of the intentions, I don't think it'll work properly.
Yeah, almost
if that makes sense.
Because you'd think that you'd have to have enough energy to put into it to.
Well, their intention for that was to get into the world record biggest. The intentions behind it, I think, would make it not work because it's all about intent.
Yeah.
We can ask the crossed over world anything. We could be like, we have two glasses of wine here. We could be sitting here super still, and let's say Mama Mary felt a spirit here with us or whatever, and we were like, okay, for yes, move one glass of wine. For two, move both glass. Make the wine move in the glass. It's the same. It's the same thing, and they actually have ghost hunting equipment like that with the lights.
It's just like when I meditate, I always light candles, and I even have video of it. When I can always tell when there's a spirit there because the candle will go way up in flame and it'll flicker. Yeah, and then that's how you can communicate, is asking to change the flame.
Yeah, you got to give it a source of energy to come through, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I am learning.
And heat generates energy.
Yes.
So that's why a lot of people use flame.
Right. Well, that's like
the elements: earth, air, water, fire.
That's what I was going to say. It's wine.
You're bored. That's earth. It's wood.
Yeah. Should be wood. See, when you buy the store-bought one, again, it comes down to intention. So when you're going in and you're paying the Walmart lady for your spirit board there, and you got to open the wrapper and everything, read the directions how to use it. I don't know. This is going to sound kind of hypocritical of myself. I don't trust the store-bought ones.
Well,
if you had a genuine made board and you wanted to try that, the essence of creepiness would be sweet with it.
That's right.
So if you want to do one on October 31st or the full moons and stuff like that, get a genuine one. Put your time in, make one.
Yep.
The essence of creepiness that you'll give your friends that you invite to do it with you would be awesome, I think. Because if we were to sit here and play with one, I should have went and got one. Just for shits and giggles. But even with that being said, you can make it on a piece of paper.
You can. The pendulum board's like pretty much the same thing. Not completely, but...
essentially the same principle, though.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to communicate with the crossed over world. Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
A funny thing, before I read the Facebook comments of the Facebook question of the week, Destiny was like, Mom, I think you brought something home with you. Since our investigation at the Eagles.
It's always possible.
She said she was in Ethan's room, and Ethan has this tote of toys that's got a lid on it that he doesn't play with anymore, but he refuses to get rid of the fuckers. Hackers. She said she was on the other side of his bedroom, and all these toys are going off. Even like his, oh my gosh, what is that called from the last superhero movie? The Gauntlet. Was going off. Everything in this toy box was going off. She said, Mom, it scared me. I said, you probably just bumped it or something. Because as a mom, I just disregard the stuff because I don't want them being scared.
Yep.
I don't know. Weird thing. This is the first time anybody's going to hear this. I'm just saying. About an hour before you got here, me and Daisy were down here. Which, Daisy's my dog. And I was setting up my new recording studio. I'm recruiting for our coven. But I thought for sure you were here, and I even yelled upstairs. There was shit going on upstairs. I didn't have the washer on. I did not have the dishwasher on, the dryer. I didn't have any of that shit on. And Daisy even stopped and looked up. And then we both went running upstairs because we thought you were here. And that was like an hour before you got here. That's when maybe not quite an hour, maybe a half hour, because I was sitting outside when you got here. It was right before I left to go to the store to get my energy drink. Mm-hmm. But Destiny told me this stuff last night, and then that stuff happened tonight. Like, there was foots.
And Spirit will do that, too. Sometimes Spirit will just show up. Like, your dad did that. I think it was... No, he did it last Saturday after work, and then I did the recording with you. When I came home, there was a box on the table that had a chocolate frog in it. He's like, I thought somebody was here. I'm like, no, that's probably one of the girls is, but they weren't here. He goes, no. He goes, somebody was here. I heard someone walk into the house and shut the door. I came upstairs, but there was nobody here. Nobody had been there.
Ain't that weird? Okay.
But when I do readings, I've had Spirit just show up, and
right.
It's not Spirit that belongs there. It's Spirit that belongs to the people that are coming. And so they have information to give. Like,
they're
one
just
day,
in the waiting line and waiting room. And
I didn't know the woman's name. I didn't know who she looked like. Nothing. And I think that was the most profound reading I've ever had, to the point where I actually took pictures of what I wrote down. But it went on forever. I took messages forever. And then I even came up and I said, okay, and does the name, Jeff mean anything to you? And then she just started bawling. She goes, that's my son's name. He passed away. So this person, I could see the Spirit walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth while I was getting all the information. So he literally popped through to give me overwhelming information. And because she needed the message.
Aww.
So spirit that belongs to other people will show up.
Okay.
But not necessarily stay.
Okay. About 15, 20 minutes ago, did you hear Daisy upstairs?
Mm-hmm. Going crazy?
So did I. Okay, she's outside. Mm-hmm. Sean just pulled in at 11:30. It is 11:33. I thought for sure I heard his footprints up there about 15 minutes ago. And I just asked him, I said, are you home? He said, I just pulled in at 11:30. At 11:30. His message came through. Yep, at 11:30. I said, you home, baby? At 11:24. At 11:30, he just said, just pulled in. Mm-hmm. But I thought he was home earlier.
Yeah, she was going nuts. You'll probably hear it on this.
She's outside.
I know.
The only thing we'd hear from her outside is barking, not running around. Mm-hmm. And I thought that I heard his footprints up there. That's messed up. Why does this phone number keep calling me? I don't know you. I don't think I know you. Clearly, you're not important if I don't have your name saved in there. Although my little brother's not. His number is saved in there, and so is my friend. But yeah. Anyway, that's pretty crazy. So anyway, you got any feelings about my house right now? Oh, and Destiny's been seeing shadow people, she said.
I'm very on shadow people. Like, I know a lot of people think shadow people, and they think like evil.
Right.
And I don't know if I necessarily... I think, obviously, shadow is like negative energy. But I see spirit all the time. I was sitting there this morning working on stuff, and I could see it flit across. And for me, it's so second nature.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really faze me. I'm
right,
like,
you're like, so.
You're there.
Yeah.
If I wanted to connect, I'd meditate, and I'd start to channel you by automatic writing,
Right.
Other than that, I just accept that it's there, and I lay my ground rules what they can't do. So maybe she can do that and say, okay, don't turn on.
Well, that's what I told her. She didn't necessarily say shadow people. She said somebody's here.
But seeing people, and that could be what she feels like a shadow people is seeing that energy, because you can see the energy.
Right, and maybe she's just portraying it as a shadow person.
It's sort of like the way I could describe it to the audience, it's sort of like when you're, let's say, when you're cooking on a grill, okay, and you've lit the charcoal and the fire's gone out, but if you look at it just right, you can still see the fumes coming up.
Yeah.
That's energy.
Right.
That's how you see spirit.
Okay.
You still see their fumes moving. I guess that's
okay.
That's a good way to explain it, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Making that connection, being able to fuse that part in your brain is the fumes.
Right.
The Ouija board allows the communication to come through and allows the fumes through, I guess. So if you do use it, you just be careful of what kind of fumes.
Shit. That's who's calling.
You allow in.
Sorry. It's the people for my window. My text on the people are coming. Okay. So with all that being said, we're just having a great time right now. I just love this. I look forward to this every week.
Well, we could talk about this kind of stuff forever. I mean,
oh gosh,
there's so much there's so much answers to be found.
That we'll never find the answers. It's just, so therefore, it's just a bunch of questions to keep being asked and that we put our opinions or our feelings on it type of thing. But Destiny really threw me off guard when she was like, hey, I think you brought some. She walked right upstairs and said it right in front of Sean, too. I think you brought some home with you. And I'm like, well, no, I didn't. Because I'm just like, no, I didn't. I'm like, don't blame this shit on me.
It's possible. I've walked out of the shop more than a couple of times. I felt something following me, but then I block. I put up a block.
See, I don't necessarily think if something followed me home, I don't think it was bad.
Probably
if
not.
I brought something home. Because this is going to sound conceited. Maybe not conceited. I don't know what you'd call it. But I don't, because I'm still on the fence. I'm a believer, but non-believer. I'm a skeptic believer. Mm-hmm. But when I picture myself, because there's a lot of times where some bad shit should have happened to me and it never did. I don't know. When I take myself out of my little box and I look at the big picture, I see myself, for some reason, having
protectors.
Yes, a bubble, per se, around me that helps me through some pretty bad times or where situations should have ended out way different than what they did. Like, they should have ended in a very harmful way, and there's really no explanation as to why they didn't end in a harmful way. I don't think me or my aura would allow a bad entity to follow me somewhere.
Yeah, because it doesn't want to connect.
Right. Because they're not going to have anything in common with me. I can tell you that. I may be in bad moods some days, or sometimes the days, whatever, but I'm never a negative person. And I think when it comes to the spiritual world, negative is going to go with a negative person.
Exactly.
Positive, and not necessarily positive energy, but non-bad energy is going to go with. That's why you get
the people who are like, bipolar and things like that. I think not every person, but I do think that some of those cases are people who are just really negative people, and they get negative spirit that connects to them. They're never going to get better.
Right. And that's what I don't
want. There's things that need to be released.
Right. Yeah. So I think if I was to bring something back from one of our investigations or what have you, because I didn't do the protection correctly, whatever, something just really needs out of that location, I don't think it would be something bad that I brought back here to home.
And if that's the case, just sage the house.
Right.
Sage the house and ask Archangel Michael to cross over.
But Destiny is really iffy as she is, because she's kind of like me when it comes to things, but I do believe that she's got
the gifts.
And
that's why they're connecting with her.
But she was very insistent. She didn't care what Sean thought or anything. When she walked upstairs, like, Mom, I think you brought something home. Because usually we don't talk about that type of stuff in front of him. I don't talk about that stuff in front of people that don't
know.
Don't believe. That type. I respect that. That's cool, But she was very insistent on it, which was, I was like, what, girl, what? Get Mommy some more wine. Anyhow, and with all that being said, it all comes down to an intent when it comes to the Ouija board.
Yeah.
It really does. And if you want to use one, never have, or you have, use your precautions. Because we don't know, ultimately, if something bad, if that does open something bad. We ultimately don't know.
Nope.
We really, really don't. And it may not at all. But like I said, we just don't know. Take your precautions. Say your prayers. Have your stones. It isn't going to hurt you by any means by taking these precautions.
No.
If anything, like I said, I'm like, meh. And I think people are ridiculous all the time when it comes to shit like this. Spiritual shit. I do. I find it so intriguing, though. But I'm not saying that it's not true either. Like, I am a complicated gal.
Well, everybody has their own truth. You know? And some people, when they spout their truth, they sound like literally batshit crazy. And some people,
and that's okay.
Some people can say the same thing and sound normal because the way they say it makes sense. I think it depends on the energy.
You. That's you. You are that way because I've seen you take complete non-believers, straight up non-believers. Not that you've made them believers, but you make them think.
Yeah, like, well, wait a minute. That kind of makes sense because you don't sound stupid
when
you say it. Like,
yep, and they're like, okay, it's fitting together. I just don't know why. And that's okay. You don't need to know why. It is what it is. I don't know. And I think the same thing goes for
everybody
the Ouija
has a
board.
part of their own puzzle.
Yeah. The Ouija board, it is a tool. If you want to make one with a piece of paper, go ahead. Go ahead. It's all your intent. As you're making it and your thoughts and whatnot, when you're making it, you can have a bad experience with it. I do believe that. I don't believe necessarily you're pulling demons from hell.
No.
But I believe that you're going to get some trickster spirits that are going to be like, oh, let's go fuck with these fuckers.
They do that. They do that.
I mean, you know, like, okay, you're going to get some younger spirits in there. Okay, let's go have some fun. And they're going to scare the shit out of you. Just be careful. If your intent is to just communicate with a loved one, you're going to get that.
Well, always state your intent.
Yes.
Just state it.
And I think that's something that people don't realize. State it right out loud, right there, then and there. What it is. Yep. That way the spirits know, you know, everything's in the know. Because if you don't, who's to say it doesn't open a portal? I don't know.
It does. I mean, when you're communicating with spirit, you are opening a portal. That's how you communicate. So you're
so weird, but I love you.
But you have to be smart about what kind of portal you're opening.
Yes. Okay.
And that's why they say when you're using the Ouija board not to take your fingers off, because you no longer are in control of the portal.
Right. You gotta be in control of the portal. Yeah, totally be in control. That goes along with the intent thing. Mm-hmm. You know, you got somebody, pick one person in your group. Let's say you have a group of 3. I don't know, I got something with the number 3. But you have the one person asking the questions. You know, the one person, you know, you always need a leader.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That can go on forever. Anyhow, then, to the Facebook question of the week for this episode. Okay, so the question was, have you ever used the Ouija board? Okay, so these are some of the responses I got. I'm not going to read the names because I didn't get okay, I did, however, let them know I was going to read them on the podcast, but I'm not going to say the names. One is, I believe in Ouija boards. You have no control over what comes through, but I don't play with them. It's understandable because the word play. You don't want to play with it. Yeah. That's where bad stuff will come through because they sneak through. Mm-hmm. Type of thing.
Yeah, if your energy is not strong enough, because weaker energy than yours is not going to mess with you. But if you come through serious, you're not playing around.
That makes sense. That makes sense human to human even. You know, like the type of people you put yourself around.
Exactly.
You know. I got another one. Well, if it's a real board, then I'm very interested. Which I don't understand. Well, they didn't explain what a real board is. So essentially, I would say, like we said before, a board that's homemade. Somebody that's making it with the good intent. That's making an actual wooden board. Because wood holds energy.
Yep.
You know, it not this cardboard BS bullshit that we can print off the computer and then, you know, whatever. You want something that's got somebody's energy in it. You know, like if Mama Mary was to make a Ouija board, I'd buy the shit out of that. I'm just saying because I know that her intent with it, her energy's going into it, even without her knowing it. Like, you know, our work energy is even energy. Mm-hmm. It so much
out what you put into it.
Yeah. And how do I want to put this? We're on to something, and you listeners will hear about it later. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. So I got a nope from our very own Amanda. Love her face. That's funny. From Brother Mike, we got a hell yeah, open the gates of hell. But I responded with, now, brother. LOL. Tune into this episode and you will find out that it is not what they were intended for. That isn't. I firmly believe that. It isn't like a group of evil witches sat around and was like, we're going to make this and it's going to open the pits of hell and we're going to throw children in it and blah, blah, blah. No, it was to communicate with
crossed over loved ones.
Yes, with the spirit world. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you didn't believe in it, it wasn't hurting nobody.
Yep.
You're just trying, you know. I got offered one, said, do you need one? I'll give you one. I may take her up. She just put seriously. So maybe we'll take her up on that. We'll put it in our collection of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. I got a nope. Don't know who or what you're talking with. Shiver. Nope. Which is that's what you get a lot. And it's because Hollywood in our time that we live in has put... we scare people. In our time that we're living, we scare people.
Yeah, because that's how you can control.
Yes. Yep. Scaring, the fear factor is a control factor. Remember that in any situation that you may be in. I got one. Seems pretty common when people call paranormal investigators and want about violent activity. Someone in the house was using a spirit board. She called it a spirit board. Whoops. Nice. Nice. Me too. She must be a supernatural fan. We're Team Dean over here. I just love Courtney. We had a couple interviews with her on here. She's the one from Salem. She's just great. She's got a lot of good information, really, because she does know the history, like, on Salem and stuff. Yeah. But her whole outlook on things is pretty awesome. So when we go out there, she's going to be our tour guide for everything out there. I think she's just great. I wish we could just bring her back here. Or we could just live there with her. Anyway.
One day if I'm rich, I already decided I'm buying a house in Salem.
Yeah.
I miss Salem. I feel homesick.
I want to go so bad.
It's weird. I was the other day, I'm like, I'm so homesick. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh.
Well, shit, I'm at home. I get to go to Vegas. I get to go see Zach Bagans Museum and all that fun jazz. I'm excited. I am. But not nearly. It's a different excitement at the thought of going to Salem for me. And it really is. And I can't wait until we can go and we take our significant others with us.
Face to face.
Yes. Oh my God. We're never going to want to leave. Especially once we hook up with her. Like, we're not going to want to leave. Bottom line. It's going to be great. But this one made the most sense to me as a skeptic believer. Mm-hmm. Miss Courtney says it's all about the intention you put out when you use it. The board is just a tool. You could do the same thing with a leaf or a rock. A lot of people do the same thing with pendulums. And that's absolutely true. It is true.
Yes.
It's,
I use a pendulum in my energy work.
Oh, yeah.
It's
so many
tapped
people
into,
do.
like, the chakra energy.
Yeah.
But it tells me yes or no about energy.
Right. So many people, the Ouija board isn't to be feared. Mm-mm. If your intents are correctly. Now, if you're just an evil person, I hope you're not listening to this. Yeah. If you're an evil person and trying to bring in bad things, why would you want that? Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. You got love somewhere in your heart. Like, you
would hope anyway, yeah.
Use it for good intent. It comes down to the intent. And you don't necessarily need to have a Ouija board. Like you said, use a pendulum. Use a rock. It's that focus point. Your focus point is your energy point. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Okay. So I could use this green highlighter I have here, and we could just focus all of our energy on that. You know, you can use anything. The Ouija board, I believe, was invented. That was weird. That took me completely off that page for whatever reason. That was really weird. The Ouija board itself, I think, was meant for easier access to answers because it lays out the whole alphabet where you can spell out the words.
It's a conduit.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever that means. Okay, so my phone just totally took me out of that and it's not filling in anymore. But what I do have is the poll that I put up there, I believe this morning, because it was super last minute, or yesterday morning. Last night I did. Said, have you ever used a Ouija board? We have 16 votes for no and 14 for yes. So, like I said, this was a very last minute poll because I couldn't figure out how to put a poll on the Facebook, but now I know, so we'll have to do these every week with our thing, but more people with no than yes. We do have a comment here. It's from Eddie. I like Eddie. I haven't heard from him for a while. He's the one that's got a lot of weird shit going on. When we first started, he reached out to us.
Yeah.
With some bad stuff that was going on, and he's a little, I don't want to say scared, but makes you a little cautious.
Yeah, it's uneasy.
Once when I was little, I swear I saw an eye in the middle of the planchette where a small circular piece of the plastic was. We all stopped and never played again. However, we never said goodbye. He's got some good stories, too. I need to reach out to him and have him.
Yeah, you always say goodbye because that's a portal.
Yes,
that's always the last thing you do when you close a portal is say goodbye.
Well, just like leaving your house. You shut the door. Otherwise, you're going to get all sorts of creatures in there. Yeah, as you're shutting the door, the intent is goodbye when you shut that door. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with anything, whether you're playing on our, I don't want to say planet, but our dimension, yes, dimension. Our dimension, you say goodbye. And when we're playing around with the other dimension,
you still say goodbye.
Yes, you always close that door. Mm-hmm. AKA the portal, or saying goodbye, or saying thank you. You stay here, I stay here, we're good until next time, pal. Word, you know. I don't know. What are your complete thoughts on a Ouija board?
I agree with Courtney. It's all about intent. If you're going to utilize something, you use something as a tool, know what you're working with. Don't get on there and play a game. Know what you're doing. Know what you're working with. Study it. Mm-hmm. Know the steps to take, because it is opening a portal. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but you need to know how to close it. Mm-hmm. You got to close it at the end,
because you're leaving.
You have to be in charge. You have to be in control. You have to not be fear based. You have to bring that energy into it. Know what you're working with.
Right.
Just like with anything.
Right. And no, most people would get into one of these purely for entertainment purposes. But with that being said, safety first. Even with riding a quad, you know, safety first. You know, it's essentially the same thing. You're doing it for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Do your safety.
If you don't know how to use a table saw, you're going to cut off your hand.
Right. You have to be cautious. Mm-hmm. Whether it ends up saving your life in the end or whatever, it's not going to hurt you not to be cautious. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. That's the mother speaking out, you know, in me. Really. Yeah. You know, wear your seatbelt. You may never get in an accident, but at least you had your seatbelt on every time.
That's right.
Just in case.
The what if factor.
Yeah. And there's so many what if factors. I got a couple more. Sorry. I did, however, have one tell me the name of my brothers and how old they would be when I met them. It was correct. Now, I know the person that posted this. She was adopted. So she did get to meet her.
That's cool.
Her blood, yeah. Another one, scares the living crap out of me. I've never used one, but I've been in a house as one was being used upstairs. I'll never forget that day. That's all she left that at. I've played with them enough in the past to know they are scary. And then, nope, portal, nope. See, people, again with the portals, I don't know if they're real or not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you yes or no, but close them. It could be a portal to heaven for all you know. It doesn't have to be. People, when they hear portal of hell, that's where their mind instantly goes. Mine instantly goes there. You okay?
That was my phone. That sounded bad, didn't it?
Like, are you okay? She's like, no, I broke a leg.
It sounded like I passed the portal.
I passed the portal. OMG. OMG. We are great fun here at paranormalxl. Anyway, with that, I don't know if you learned anything. I have a lot of history sitting in front of me about it. We've had a great time recording, because that's what we do when we record. We enjoy it. Just always and forever, from now, here on out, even in the past episodes, if you try to conjure something on your own, whether it be through a spirit board, whatever, be careful. Ask questions. If you don't have anybody to ask questions to, because you're not as lucky as I am to have a Mama Mary, email us in.
Yeah.
Email us in. I keep saying that, and that's not what. Email us. I don't know why I keep saying us in. Anyway, email us. We'll help you through what we can. I'll give you my BS explanation, and Mama will help you. That's kind of our roles in this podcast. Yeah, it was great fun, as always. I still don't have the right thing that I want. Remember, our email is paranormalxl@writeme.com. Email us questions, concerns, ideas,
investigations.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, must be psychic.
I know. We're reading each other's minds. Any questions, if you want us to come out, if you live in a different state, maybe a little farther than what we're willing to travel, we have the hookups everywhere. We'll hook you up with the right people that you can trust to help you. Never be afraid to reach out. Never. Also, we have our event coming up November 2nd at the Woodland Eagles in Michigan. It's going to be a good time. We'll discuss what our findings are for that investigation. It's going to be quite the event. We're going to have a taco bar.
Oh.
Cash prizes. drawings all through the night to win some PXL merchandise.
Cool.
All sorts of different things. Are you still going to give readings there?
I'm okay. Get there.
You can get a reading from Mama Mary there. Like, that's pretty awesome all in itself. It's just going to be like all these awesome people gathered together. It's just going to be pretty awesome. We're going to have a good time regardless of anything. Also, check out our new website, paranormalxl.com. Yeah. People, Josh and Julie from the crew made it for us. And it's phenomenal. Have you got a chance to look at it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. He did such a good job.
He did.
They did. More information, we'll keep it updated and stuff like that. That was a wedding present. So that was a great wedding present. Not only just because it was for me, but it saved my time of doing something like that.
Yeah.
Which takes away from the home, blah, blah, blah. So yeah. Also, look us up on Facebook. We have a page and group. You can interact. It's a lot of fun. We're more into that now.
We're back.
Yeah, we's back. So also remember, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Ever.
That's right, word. We hope to hear from you though, for real. And if you're gonna use a Ouija board, use it responsibly. Word.